In a museum in Greece, a tour guide is telling visitors about a mythical staff from Homer's tales, said to channel the power of all the gods. Suddenly, two figures in Spartan military armor appear at the exhibit. They smash the protective glass, triggering alarms, and the panicked guide calls security. The armored pair pull off their helmets, revealing themselves as Hespera and Kalypso, the two eldest daughters of Atlas. They grab the staff, and just like that, their ancient powers come flooding back. Kalypso wastes no time, using her mind control magic to turn the security guards into zombie-like servants. The spell spreads fast, and before long, the entire museum staff is under her control, creating chaos as terrified visitors try to escape. The automated security system kicks in, sealing all the exits with heavy metal bars, trapping everyone inside. Annoyed by the mess, Hespera unleashes her elemental powers, turning the museum's marble statues into bonds, trapping the fleeing humans in place, basically turning them into living exhibits. Kalypso turns to her sister.
Human champions are still humans, and we are gods.
But Hespera, ever the cautious one,
Do not underestimate the judgment of the wizard.
she warns.
He will have chosen with meticulous precision.
Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, Billy Batson, transformed into Shazam, is venting to his pediatrician like he's talking to a therapist. He's frustrated that even after gaining superpowers, his family has started drifting apart, each sibling wanting to live their own life instead of fighting crime together. It stings, and he feels like he's losing his team. After his appointment, Billy heads home and goes back to his usual routine, playing video games. But when he sees his brother Freddy sneaking out for no clear reason, he gets suspicious. Grabbing Freddy's phone, he hears police radio chatter about a bridge collapse. Instantly, Billy is fired up for some action. He calls the rest of his siblings, and they take off for the Benjamin Franklin Bridge. It's a disaster zone. An overturned fire truck has sparked a massive explosion, and the whole suspended structure is on the verge of collapsing. Steel cables snap, asphalt cracks, and cars start sliding toward the edge, ready to plunge into the Delaware River. The Shazam family jumps into action, rescuing people from falling vehicles while Peter tries to weld the broken cables back together. But for everyone he fixes, 5 more snap, and the whole bridge groans like it's about to give way. After a chaotic few minutes, they manage to get all the civilians out of the danger zone, but the bridge itself collapses, crashing into the river below. Shaken by their near disaster, Billy realizes they need a serious family meeting. He tracks down Eugene, who's been mapping the DOR room, a place full of portals to other parts of the universe. If they're gonna stand a chance, they need to get organized, fast. After a few minutes of searching, Billy finally finds his brother getting tossed out of a room by a giant monster. Without missing a beat, he grabs him and hauls him back to the meeting room. Once they're all together, Billy tries to kick off a serious team talk, pointing out where they're all messing up and how they need to improve if they want to work together. But Mary's barely listening, her head buried in an organic chemistry textbook. Fred quickly makes up some lame excuse to bail, and Eugene mutters something about needing a shower because the monster's drool is burning his skin. One by one, the rest of the crew drifts off too, leaving Billy alone in the empty room, talking to himself. At school, Freddy's shuffling through the hallways when he bumps into Anne, a new student looking for a specific room. He offers to show her the way, but before they get far, a couple of bullies show up and start messing with him, even bending his crutch for laughs. Before things get too out of hand, a teacher steps in to break it up and the jerks back off. Freddy, trying to play it cool, keeps walking with Anne, dropping hints about how he's basically best friends with the local superheroes. He even brags that Superman once had lunch with him in the cafeteria, clearly trying to impress her. Meanwhile, in the realm of the gods, Hespera and Kalypso make their way to the dungeon where the wizard Shazam is chained up. Face to face with the old sorcerer, they taunt him, showing off the staff they've just restored. They brag about getting their powers back, elemental and chaos magic, the whole package, and watch as the wizard's curiosity sharpens. But they don't have time for chit-chat. With a flick of their hands, they use telekinesis to yank him closer to the edge of his cell, forcing him to reforge the 2 broken halves of the staff. He hesitates, but Their mind control magic leaves him no choice. As the pieces snap together, the wizard lunges, trying to rip the staff from their grasp. But Hespera blasts him back with a wave of raw power. He hits the ground hard, but in the chaos, he manages to wedge a tiny splinter of the staff into his hand. Using the shard, he whispers an incantation, sending a secret message to his champion. Cut to Paris, where Shazam is having dinner with Wonder Woman. Everything's going great until, out of nowhere, the wizard's face suddenly appears on Diana's body. He warns that the Daughters of Atlas are coming, and they plan to take over the world, including his family. The wizard tries to explain how to stop them, but before he can finish, the splinter's magic runs out. Billy jolts awake the next morning, still trying to piece together what just happened. Later, in the school cafeteria, Freddy's hanging out when Anne shows up again. She asks him to show her the exact spot where he supposedly ate with the heroes, but before he can work his charm, Billy storms in, dragging him away for an emergency meeting. Once everyone's together, Shazam tells them about his weird dream and the warning from the wizard. He even admits to doing a quick Google search about the Daughters of Atlas, but it didn't turn up much. Realizing they need real answers, Peter chimes in, saying he might know someone who can help. He leads them through a hidden passage he found while messing around with the Rock of Eternity, which opens into a massive ancient library. There he introduces the crew to Steve, a magical pen that apparently knows everything in the universe. Billy, seizing the opportunity, asks Steve about the Daughters of Atlas. Without missing a beat, the pen starts scribbling out a list of every book that mentions them, making their research a whole lot easier. While his brothers are busy, Freddy takes Anne up to the school terrace. He's still trying to impress her, so he keeps dropping hints about his connections to the superheroes. To really seal the deal, he asks if she'd like to actually meet a superhero. Without waiting for an answer, he steps back, slips around a corner, and transforms into his superhero form. He comes back out, still playing it cool, conveniently leaving out the part where he's actually still Freddy. With his confidence on full blast, meanwhile, in the library, Billy and his brothers are finally piecing things together. They dig through old texts and figure out that the staff was originally created by Atlas himself, using wood from the Tree of Life. According to Mary, this weapon can absorb and store the powers of other gods. Basically, a magic mega battery. As they dive deeper, they find out that after the war between gods and titans, some human wizards got their hands on the staff and used it to trap other deities, transferring their powers to their chosen champion. While they're still sorting through the info, they catch a news report about the museum attack and immediately suspect that the two attackers are Atlas's daughters. But something catches Peter's attention. One of the books says Atlas had 3 daughters: Hespera, Kalypso, and the youngest, Anthea. The second Billy hears the third name, his brain clicks. He remembers Freddy mentioning that he was hanging out with a girl named Anne, already guessing that this Anne might be the third sister. But before he can even get close, Hespera and Kalypso show up on the terrace. Hespera cracks Freddy across the chest with the staff, and he instantly transforms back into his normal, powerless form. Panicking, Freddy tries to transform again, but nothing happens. The staff has completely drained his powers, leaving him just a regular, unpowered kid again. Hespera, not wasting a second, kicks his crutch out from under him, towering over him as she demands to know where the rest of his family is. But Kalypso, glancing over the edge of the roof, spots Billy flying toward them in the distance. "No need," she says with a wicked grin. To keep Billy from reaching them, Anthea, who's clearly been playing both sides, suddenly shifts the entire structure of the surrounding buildings, warping the landscape until Billy crashes headfirst into a brick wall. But his brothers aren't far behind, and the sisters quickly realize they're about to have a real fight on their hands. Seeing this as their chance to grab even more power, Kalypso suggests they hit the whole family at once. But Hespera and Anthea hold back, reminding her that their real goal is the seed of life, and they can't risk their mission. As the rest of the Shazam family gets closer, Hespera grabs Freddy and rockets into the sky, raising a massive dome around the whole city to keep the others out. Desperate to save his brother, Billy fires a lightning bolt at the barrier, but it just bounces off, completely ineffective. All he can do is watch as his brother is dragged away. Back in the realm of the gods, Freddy wakes up in a dark dungeon, chained up next to the wizard Shazam. He starts brainstorming ways to escape, but the old wizard, looking defeated, tells him it's hopeless. He's already passed all his power to Billy, so there's nothing left he can do. On Earth, Billy is still trying to make sense of the sisters' powers. He realizes he needs to regroup and come up with a plan. They head to the Great Library, where Stevie, the magical pen, hands them enchanted scrolls that can send messages to the gods. When written on, these scrolls fold into paper birds and fly straight to their intended recipient. Back in the divine realm, Hespera calls for Freddy and tries to get him to reveal the real names and ages of the other 5 champions. When he refuses to talk, Kalypso steps in, using her chaos magic to hit him with waves of searing pain. But even through the agony, Freddy bites down and refuses to give up his family's secrets. Just as Kalypso is about to get more aggressive, Hespera's paper bird swoops in, delivering Billy's message. She tells her sister to back off so she can read it. In the note, Billy offers a deal: the powers of the 5 champions in exchange for Freddy's life. Kalypso, clearly eager for a fight, agrees to the trade. She orders her minions to throw Freddy and the wizard into the wells. Deep, dark pits, guarded by Layden, a terrifying beast that can spread fear just by looking at you. As the creature approaches, Freddy and the wizard brace for the worst, but at the last second, Anthea steps in. Even though she's also a daughter of Atlas, she's developed a soft spot for Freddy and decides to switch sides, pulling them both out of the pit. She drops them in a labyrinth, quickly explaining that the exit to the human world is at the center and giving them directions before rushing off. On Earth, Billy meets up with Hespera and tries to negotiate for Freddy's return and the removal of the dome around the city. But when Hespera refuses, demanding her full powers back, Billy calls on the rest of the family for backup. Expecting this, Kalypso leaps from the shadows, slamming her staff into Peter and instantly draining his powers. Darla distracts Kalypso while Eugene zaps her with a burst of electricity, but Hespera is still a problem, and she lands a brutal kick on Billy, then quickly paralyzes Eugene and Darla with a single wave of her hand. Billy shakes off the hit, rockets into the air, and body slams Hespera into the pavement, freeing his siblings. But underground, things take a turn. Hespera overpowers Shazam, slamming him against a support beam, sending cracks spiderwebbing up the walls. Just then, Mary and Darla burst into the basement. They grab Hespera by the arms, hurling her to the ground. Billy joins in, smashing her with enough force to crack the concrete floor. But Hespera still isn't done. She breaks free, traps the sisters in a mess of metal wires, and slams a heavy wooden crate into Billy, knocking him flat. Hespera grabs Shazam and starts bashing him against the wall, ripping chunks of concrete loose with every hit. Finally, she uses her elemental powers to form a massive ball of junk, ready to crush him once and for all. But at the last second, Billy zips out of the way with super speed, and letting her own attack slam into her. With the sisters freed and Hespera temporarily knocked out, Billy drags her to the nearest chemical toilet, which acts as a hidden portal to the Rock of Eternity. With Hespera captured, the brothers lock her up and head to the library to write a message proposing a trade, Freddy for Hespera. But they don't realize she still has her powers and has already melted the cell gate, slipping away unnoticed. Meanwhile, Darla heads to the cell to bring her some jelly beans, only to find it empty. Hespera, now free, grabs an old apple from a table in the Great Library and heads for the door room, slipping into the labyrinth just as Freddy and the wizard are about to escape. She brushes the dirt off the apple, revealing it's actually the fruit of the Tree of Life. The second the wizard sees the apple, he knows it can't fall into their hands. Back in the main hall, Hespera shows the seed to her sisters. They want to use it to restore the kingdom of the gods, but Kalypso has a darker plan. She wants to plant the tree on Earth, which would destroy the planet. Meanwhile, Billy and the others follow Hespera's trail through the Rock of Eternity. Freddy, hiding behind a statue, spots the fruit and makes a grab for it. But he bumps a pedestal, sending it crashing down and blowing his cover. Hespera grabs her staff, ready to strike, but a strange sound echoes through the hall, distracting the sisters just long enough for Shazam to swoop in and grab the staff. But he fumbles it, accidentally tossing it back toward Kalypso, who catches it with a grin. In the chaos, Freddy uses his crutch to touch the staff, instantly restoring his powers. He grabs the apple and bolts. Furious, Hespera grabs the staff, but Kalypso refuses, summoning the dragon, laden, to hunt down the fleeing heroes. The kids burst out of the Rock of Eternity and take to the skies, the dragon close behind. They duck into a junkyard, trying to come up with a plan, but Kalypso catches up, easily draining Fred, Eugene, and Darla's powers with a single strike. Desperate, Billy pulls out the fruit of life and throws it into the air. Mary catches it mid-flight and rockets away, trying to put as much distance between them and Kalypso as possible. As Mary tries to dodge both the dragon and Kalypso, she gets hit mid-air by the staff, instantly losing her powers. Billy, forced to choose between saving his sister or grabbing the apple, decides to rescue Mary, carrying her to safety while Kalypso plants the seed of life in the middle of a baseball stadium. The roots spread fast, spawning mythical creatures like minotaurs, harpies, cyclopes, and chimeras, creating total chaos. From a nearby rooftop, Billy and the family watch the madness unfold. Anthea arrives, insisting she can talk some sense into Hespera. When she reaches her sisters, Anthea argues that the tree is corrupted and that they should use the fruit's power to rebuild their own realm, not destroy. Hespera, realizing Kalypso has gone too far, decides to end the chaos. But Loden, still under Kalypso's control, impales her, leaving her badly wounded. Realizing her younger sister is siding with the humans, Kalypso turns her staff on Anthea, who tries to warp out of reach but still gets hit, losing her powers and collapsing into the crowd as a regular human. Now the only one left with his abilities, Billy tells his family to draw the monsters away from the stadium while he deals with Kalypso and the dragon. The crew races to the center of town, distracting the creatures, but they quickly realize this won't be enough. Darla has a wild idea and asks Stevie what these monsters fear most. The pen scribbles out the answer: unicorns. Though the wizard warns that real unicorns are nothing like the cute ponies in kids' books, Darla insists it's worth a shot. She learns from Stevie that these dark, powerful creatures live in caves and feed on ambrosia. The group sets off to find one, but Freddy spots Anthea stumbling through the chaos and breaks off from the team to help her. Meanwhile, Billy finally tracks down the dragon and hits it with a punch so strong it sends the beast crashing through a building. But Kalypso quickly regains control, ordering the dragon to unleash a blast of fire that sets Billy's suit ablaze. Billy dodges the next strike and chucks a car at the dragon, only to have his energy absorbed by the staff when he tries to follow up with a direct hit on Kalypso. Shazam decides his only shot is to overload the staff. He wakes Hespera and runs his plan by her. She confirms his theory. If he channels enough power into the staff, its magical core will overload, basically turning it into a bomb that will blow everything inside the dome sky high. Meanwhile, Darla finally tracks down a hidden unicorn. The creature charges at her, but she stands her ground and tosses a handful of rainbow jelly beans its way. The unicorn screeches to a halt at the last second, sniffing the beans before diving in, crunching them up like they're pure ambrosia. Darla earns the loyalty of the unicorns, and soon she's riding through the city, scattering mythical beasts left and right as her sugar-powered army takes over the streets. Near the edge of the city, Freddy and Anthea end up hiding with a group of civilians when Kalypso shows up, riding her massive dragon, Ladon. Chaos breaks out as Kalypso orders the beast to use its mind control powers to wipe them all out. But since Freddy's never exactly been mentally stable, the dragon's mind games bounce right off him. He grabs Anthea and pulls her to safety, snapping her out of her daze just in time. Then Billy comes flying in, tearing the staff out of Kalypso's hands. He rockets toward the Tree of Life, the staff sparking with stolen power. As he gets close, Hespera drops the protective dome around the tree just like they planned, giving Billy a clear shot. He heads for the center of a stadium, lightning crackling around him as he starts blasting the dome. supercharging the staff. But before he can land the final blow, the dragon makes a move. Billy dives straight into its line of fire, taking a brutal hit. On his second pass, he slams a fist into the dragon's face, knocking its jaw sideways and sending it spiraling back. Feeling the staff fully charged, Billy lets out a battle cry, shouts, "Shazam!" and drives the staff straight into the core of the dome. The explosion is massive. A blinding white blast that fries every electrical circuit in the state. The dragon collapses, and every creature Darla lured to the center gets vaporized on the spot. But the cost is high. When the dust settles, Billy's body lies broken, his power spent. His family rushes to his side. He's gone. Later, in the realm of the gods, Anthea insists on giving Billy a proper burial beneath a tree, surrounded by the remnants of their shattered world. As the family mourns, Darla asks the wizard if there's any way to bring the kingdom back. The old man sighs, admitting that only a god can restore what's been lost, and as far as he knows, there are no gods left. Then, out of nowhere, Wonder Woman appears, casually stepping into the scene. She grabs the staff from the wizard's hands, slams it into the ground, and the entire realm comes back to life. Trees, grass, even Anthea's powers snap back into place. The magic is so strong it even brings Billy back to life. Shocked and overjoyed, embracing his family as they celebrate their reunion. The realm of the gods is restored, the dome is destroyed, and peace is finally restored on Earth.